Chairman now recognizes the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Levin, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the resilient, dedicated, and understandably exhausted, yet unflagging educators and school staff across the nation. I've spent my career advocating for an equitable education system, and I'm a proud dad of 4 children who are products of Michigan public schools. In fact, my daughter Molly is currently a high school junior who's set to graduate next year. I can hardly believe it. That's why I've been especially disheartened when I meet regularly with educators and superintendents in Macomb and Oakland counties and hear stories of how these frontline workers navigate from one crisis to another, seemingly without end, from multiple COVID-19 waves and politicization of common sense public health measures like masking and vaccines, to mass shootings like the Oxford High School tragedy in my home county of Oakland County that we're still mourning, and startling learning loss and social delays. Mr. Speaker, our educators, school staff, and administrators are not catching a break. They're working tirelessly and meeting daily, even over holiday breaks, to make sure they can provide the best learning environment for our students. Across the board, they reported trouble finding teachers, finding bus drivers, finding kitchen staff, and everything in between. Our students are returning to the classroom with immense needs in the midst of a teacher and substitute shortage. All manner of staff and administrators, including even superintendents themselves, are stepping up and entering the classroom as substitutes. One thing is very clear. We need a societal shift to address the issues around staffing, attendance, learning loss, and the social and mental health needs of our students. As the Omicron variant continues to rage, we must prioritize education and consider it a sacred public good instead of an industry, and value our educators and school staff by providing living wages, safe work environments, and ending the attacks on educators and their unions. The pandemic has exposed long-simmering problems, as crises are wont to do. It is a time for a fundamental reset. Time for us to realize that while markets do a great job of distributing goods and services across society, there are a few social goods that should not be determined by market forces, but rather lifted up above them as a way to protect our democracy and make the healthy functioning of markets possible in the first place. One is public safety. Another is access to quality health care for every person. A third is an excellent public education for every child, from preschool to community college. We cannot continue to put our educators through the ringer. Longtime professionals in my district tell me they're hearing from new teachers who say they won't last a couple years, much less decades. My response was this: we must restore the education profession, the dignity of the education profession, the worth and the standing of the education profession, no matter how difficult it is. We must train teachers and prepare them for success, offer them appropriate pay and benefits, and support them not only in the classroom, but in our society with the dignity and respect they deserve. As a member of the House Education and Labor Committee, I urge my colleagues to join me in continuing the fight for robust investments and just policies to make sure our country, our economy, and our education system work for every American, not just the wealthy few. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
The Chair